Welcome to What If We Can Change It All, the podcast.
A podcast created by Movement.Medicine.
My name is Shadisa.
And my name is Janina.
We believe that we have the power and therefore we can change it all.
This podcast is all about reclaiming your power. Welcome everyone to our second episode of our podcast. Today we have a very special guest. Her name is Nina. We are both super excited to talk with you today. But before we start, do you want to tell and share something about yourself?
Of course. Thank you, Janine. First of all, I'm so grateful to be here with you in this podcast. It's very special for me, so thank you for inviting me. I have my own business, I would say, and it's called Filonien. And 3 years ago, I started writing. It was in a moment when I had how can I say this, like an existential crisis. And I started writing, and I was writing every day. And that was the moment I found the writer in myself. And if I look back at the existential crisis, I'm very happy that this existential crisis happened because it unlocked the writer in me. Then I started Filonien, which is a blog, and it's a blog with a philosophical taste, focused on life, challenges in life, love, especially challenges I experienced when it comes to love. And I found out that everyone experiences challenges when it comes to life and especially love. So it felt for me very freeing to write about that. And I also received compliments and also reactions from other people that it was also freeing for them to see a different, how do I say this? A different voice when it comes to life and love, especially love. Because let's be real, we all grew up with movies in which it's like happily ever after. But the whole spectrum and the real spectrum when it comes to life and love, that's something we don't see every day. And that's not always, society is not always comfortable with that. Let's say it like that. So for me, I felt this calling to start Filonien and start writing about love, relationships, and all the challenges that come with it, which we don't talk about every day. And I think we should be more open about it. So that is Filonien.
Yeah, we both also have been reading your blog, and for me, and I think I can speak for the both of us, your writings are very honest and open and vulnerable as well. And as you shared already, they have a different perspective on what we hear mostly, right? So they're close to your heart, and I think you can see and very much feel it. Although it's just words, right? You can really feel the motivation behind it. And I think that's, or at least for me, it's very special to see and to also hear that voice in a different way, and also in a maybe more creative way.
Yeah, I think it's very real and very, really raw also. And I think that is important, that people also see that and hear that, and that they actually can relate to the stuff that you're writing, right? Because I think you're doing an amazing job with that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Janine. Also, especially you used the word raw, which lighted a fire in me when you used it. So thank you for mirroring that. Because I think it's also very important to just put all the filters away, take all the layers off, and be real. Be real as a human, be real in writing, be real in the words you use, and don't make it different or more pretty or more soft than how the experience is. An experience can be raw, it can be painful, it can go deep. And for me, it's freeing to share that in my texts. It's also freeing if someone else tells me, I also feel that. So yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. I was wondering, and you don't have to go into your crisis, you can if you want to, but is there a certain link between your crisis and why you started Filonien?
Definitely. I think when I was a little kid, I was also thinking a lot about life, a lot about love, observing all the time. And I also always had this philosophical, how do you say this? Philosophical?
Philosopher.
Philosopher, thank you, Janine. Oh my God. I always had this philosopher inside of me. My writing is in Dutch. I'm so sorry about that. So that's why I also have to switch. No, always had this philosopher in me. And I think during the way, I was more focused on society and what I thought I had to do in my life to have a secure life. And I was looking like at other people, like how do they do this? I studied law. I started a job as legal counsel. I did that for almost 6 years. I had a long-term relationship, and I was always focused on this partner and the relationship. And during this relationship, I also found out, wow, there's so much more of me that's not part of this relationship. And also when I worked as a legal counsel, I found out there's so much more of me that's not in this job. So during Corona, I was a lot inside the house working as a legal counsel with my relationship. And then I just felt my energy was gone. And I'm very open to energy. Like, energy is everything, right? So yeah, the fact that I didn't feel myself anymore, that what was happening, started the existential crisis, to find out who I am, why I'm here, what I do. And I don't know if I will ever have the exact answer, like what am I doing here? What are we all doing on this earth? But it opened something for me, this existential crisis. And I think it took 2 weeks until I felt, okay, I have to write because I had such clear dreams. So my dreams are always also connected with my writing. So often, I think when you look at writing, it gives you the power to go a layer deeper in your subconscious mind. So you cannot think to the answer, but when you write it, it comes out. And that's also with dreams. So for me, dreams and dancing are also ways to go deeper in the subconscious mind. And then the answers come by itself. And in these 2 weeks of not working and realizing, okay, I'm in this life which is not making me happy, I started writing and I started dancing, and then everything came out. And before I knew, I just bought a domain. I started my own blog. I was typing the whole day. And I never felt so happy and so home in myself and on this planet before. So the writing really connected me with me, and then also with the other and the world around me.
I think that's beautiful. And that's also something that we talked about in our last episode, is that we often have this like turning point in our lives. And after that, it's like, oh yeah, no more. I'm just going to dive deep within. I'm going to do what I want to do, what I love to do, and just see how I can flourish from there. Right. And I think that is actually such a good example, because of that, you found your true passion. You found your life path. Right. And yeah. I think that's something that's really big. And I think everyone has that moments in their lives.
Yeah, I think a lot of people can relate to the existential.
We help each other, right? It's fine.
We all have these moments where we're like, actually, do I still love what I'm doing? Do I do it because I love it? Or do I do it because I thought this was the right path, but actually maybe it's not?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people can relate to this. I mean, we can tap a bit deeper into this and see, well, you kind of shared already like what helped you write, writing, dance, your dreams. But I think a lot of people can relate, and maybe we can dive a bit deeper into this, like how did you find your path? I think we shared a bit about our story in our first episode already, but how did you find your path by moving through that crisis, right? Because mostly we see this crisis as a big, huge, bad thing, and in the moment it can feel like that, but mostly afterwards it's such a big gift. And especially if you're listening and you're in there right now, there is another side, right? And might be cool to hear your side as well.
Yeah, because often there's a lot of fear in it too. Like it's so scary to do that and to not know what you actually want to do, and to say goodbye to your jobs, your relationships, your friendships in order to like find this whole new version of yourself, that's a big step for a lot of people. It was for me.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a beautiful question. And indeed, I have so much ideas about that. But the thing that is coming up immediately within me is letting go. And that has two meanings. Because it's not only letting go, like ending a relationship, quitting a job, but it's also letting go, like letting it flow, let it come through you. So for example, if you feel, because if you let go and if you decide that answers can come to you, can come from within, can come from something bigger, that's what I did then. I just let it all go. I danced, I wrote, and I was like, I don't know, let's see. And then answers came from within. But once you have an answer, it doesn't mean your life is already like that. So there comes the fear, and the fear can be huge. And let's be real, when you found this out, you're still experiencing fear every week, every day. It's coming. But when you see that this fear is also something that is telling you that you really want something and that it's hard to let go of something, because for the past you, it was what you wanted and what you needed in that moment. And if you let that go, the past version of you is also letting go. Fear will always transform. And always also you can let fear go. The only thing is don't fight it. Receive it, let it go.
Exactly.
And it sounds so easy. And it's definitely not so easy. But if you find this, I think it's the trust in yourself. Because for me, it was such a blessing to receive the writing. Then you, if you feel it that deep, then you also can find the trust to dive deeper in it, and be okay with the fact that you don't know how your life will look like in a month or in a week or in half a year. Because when you let things go, there's always open space. And that can be scary. That is super scary. That is super scary. Sometimes someone tells me and says, I feel so much fear. And then I'm like, I'm so happy for you that you feel this fear, because it's telling you something. It's telling you you're moving, you're transforming. And that's so hard to realize when you're in this fear yourself. But the more often you go through this, because I believe you will go through it time and time and time again, the more you know you will land on your feet every time again. So the first time it's the hardest, but maybe also the one that gives you the biggest gift.
Yeah, and I think what's also very interesting, and you tapped on it in it already a bit, is that with the letting go, there's also a sense of trust, right? You have to start trusting yourself and trusting that whatever you do, it will be fine, it will be good. And it starts with trusting yourself, and then start trusting the action steps you take. It's start trusting like your environment, the people around you, letting go of people, trusting that new people will come, right? So letting go is like the first step. And I think the next one you need is trust in order for yourself to feel safe again. Because with fear, there's also a lot of sense of not feeling safe, and that's why we actually go back to the old patterns, right? Because the fear seems so big that we don't trust anymore, and so we repeat the old patterns that we are used to. But actually, can you trust in that moment, and then trust that it will be all right?
Yeah,
I think that's most...
And if I can add something to that, when you talk about fear, it's also how can you take care of yourself in this fear? And which steps are for now and which steps may be for later. Because when I started the blog, it's now almost 3 years ago, I had periods when I wrote more. I had periods when I wrote less. Sometimes I was a lot like in my mind about the Filonien, and sometimes I wasn't. I also changed my job 2 times. I created more space to write. I decided to work less in my corporate job, make space to write more for Filonien. And I think what I saw 3 years ago was this huge shift, and I'm doing the shift in steps. So it's not something for the mind, it's more something when it comes to energy and trust. How can you make yourself safe in this path?
Yeah. Can you truly listen to yourself?
And also
Because I realize I can remember exactly how hard it was to be in that existential crisis. And for me, what I really learned is you don't need someone, I'm sorry to say this, but that's how I experienced it. You don't need someone who says to you, let go of everything and just jump, because you don't feel safe when you have fears. So what can you let go of when nurturing yourself, and let that go and then go forward?
I think there are two types in that. I think there are people that need like the small steps, and there are people that need to jump. And I think both are fine. And sometimes we find one better, but it doesn't mean that one is better. It's like which one suits you better.
Yeah, I think that's how you capture it perfectly. Yeah, indeed, it's all about feeling. It's all about the energy that you have that's around you, and feeling like, okay, how can I make these jumps with also focusing 100% on my own health and well-being. And these steps, it's different for everyone, like which steps and how big these steps can be. Because sometimes I have conversations with friends or with colleagues, and then I always hear often like, oh yeah, I don't dare, or I don't know what I'm doing, or I know I want something else, but I don't know what. And what you need then is someone who says to you, like, it's okay, just take your time, take your space. You will receive the answers and you can make the steps.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and can you also allow yourself to take the steps, right? Because sometimes we can also get stuck
in the not knowing,
in the fear, and thus we just keep in, okay, I received the answers and then nothing is happening. This is also what I see a lot. So it's like, can you listen to yourself, make yourself feel safe, and at the same time dare to take the steps that feel maybe a bit uncomfortable?
Yeah.
Otherwise the answers can't come because you're so closed off, you're so like not ready for it. So can you make yourself available in your safety to actually receive everything that you want to receive the answers, right? Because otherwise you're gonna stay in the not knowing for a really long time.
Yeah. And it takes a lot of courage.
Yes, it does.
To go. So now we're back at the feeling the fear, where I said, if you feel this fear, I'm like, yay, I'm happy for you because you're moving. Yeah.
And I want to highlight again, it's different for everyone. So yeah, one is not better than the other. Please feel free to feel your own steps, right? But also make sure that you take the courageous steps, let's say.
Take the bold steps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What else I find very interesting is that you talk a lot about labels. And yeah, just what do you see as labels? Let's start there, maybe.
Yeah, labels. Wow. I really admire people. That's what I feel. So how do I say this? I think from as a little girl, I always felt like, why do we do something like this? Why does it have to be this way? Why do people tell me how I need to behave, or what I need to look like, whatever? I just didn't get any of it, because I was like, yeah, but it's me. I'm the person like living this life on this planet, on this earth. So I can feel what's good for me and I can decide. And if I don't know, I will ask you. But why does society decide how everything has to be? I really didn't get any of it. The older I get, the less I get of it, to be honest. So I think then I would like to focus again on love life. In love life, I really experienced, and I'm still so curious about it, that labels won't necessarily make things bigger when it comes to love. So my research until now made me see that love is an energy. It's something very special. It's magical, and it exists in so many ways. So what I think is funny is when we talk about love, people immediately think about relationships, about romantic relationships, about sex. But you can look at it from such a different perspective, because love is a very precious energy. At least that's what I think. I have no idea if that's the truth, but that's how far I've come in my search. And for me, it's definitely connected with freedom. And freedom is also something you can call a label, because people have so much ideas, especially society, like so much ideas about freedom. But all these links people have in their minds is not what it is for me. So I think love is something you can receive as a gift from someone else. It's something you feel in yourself. It's something you can feel when you appreciate the beauty of nature. It's something you can feel when you're connected with an animal or a tree. I think love is around everything that exists, everything on this planet. And the energy of love is something that can flow between everything. So love can be that you see someone, and let's say before we made this podcast, I saw a guy on the street, and I saw him more often, and he has some disabilities and he's not able to work. So he's sitting in front of the beach with this card, and it says like, I cannot work. And then he has this little cup, and you see at his body that he's also experiencing pain because of these disabilities. So I went for an ice cream, and I thought like, I want this guy to have an ice cream too. I don't have cash, I cannot give him money now. So I walked with him and I asked him like, hey, are you in the mood for an ice cream? And he said, yes. And I was like, which flavor do you want? And then he said to me, which I found really funny, you pick for me. And that was so nice. So I bought for him mango and white chocolate, because I thought like, I don't know, I think he would like this. So I went back and I gave it to him, and he looked at me and he gave me like this little hand kiss, like, and I thought like, yeah, that was love. Like from one human to another human. I see you are in pain. It's not my pain. I cannot fix this, but I want to do something which makes you feel better right now. I'm enjoying an ice cream. I wish you could also enjoy this ice cream. So I think that's the energy of love, like when everything is connected from human to human. And then he gives me this little hand kiss, which is also a way we humans try to express our love. By touching, by talking, by using words. And I think it's so interesting when it comes to love that there have to be labels to decide if there's love or not. Like the thing that gets me going the most always is like a relationship or non-relationship, because I experienced, if I have someone in my life who where I have like a romantic connection with, and I have, let's say, I talk with this person daily, we share lots of stuff, and then I always see that society wants to label it like, okay, but is this serious? Okay, do you think you will get a relationship with this person? Okay, are you ready for a next step? And I always feel like, if someone asks me that, I really don't know what to say. Now I do, because I dived into it. But I always felt I don't know what to say, because you're labeling this, and that doesn't exist in my world. Because I think it's about connection, and it's about the energy of love, and it's about ways we humans express us. And I don't say that relationships don't exist. I don't say that a lifelong partner, that's not something that can be beautiful. But I think it's the one is not better than the other, and society labels it. And that's something which is not my truth. So that's what I write about.
I think it's very interesting because like how I see it is that at the end, what it is, as well as freedom, as well as love, it's all emotions, right? And because of their emotions, it is also very different for everyone how they experience it, how they want to express it. That's why freedom for me is something totally different than it is for you, because it is a feeling. It is the feeling of freedom, right? So it's hard to like put it in a box or actually put it in a label, because everyone has a different experience of it. And same as because I experience love way other than you experience love, than she experience love. So I think that is also, it's the beauty of it too, that everyone gets to experience it and gets to feel it in a different way, and like find out what is the best way for them to fully feel it and allow it to be there. You can go now. Thank you.
I think for me, love is definitely energy, and at the same time, it's all there is. I'm not saying that any other emotion or feeling is less, but I think love indeed is that what connects us. And I think what I see now, and what I also experience with clients, and also what I have experienced myself, is that, and this is not only romantic love, right? This is also love like in friendships, but also love in like self-love. We put so much restriction on love, in restricting ourselves, even in just self-love, right? But also restriction on ourselves when we are in relationships or we have a partner, or even in friendships. And I think from the moment we start restricting, it's actually, I don't want to say it becomes dangerous, but it can become dangerous actually, because we are starting to claim freedom or take away freedom from the other person. And again, this is not only relationships, this can also be like within me, right? If I want to experience self-love, but then I am restricting, then actually I am taking away a sense of having or experiencing self-love. And this is the same in relationships. If I love my partner and then I'm actually restricting and claiming and whatever I do because I want to feel safe, right? It actually, going a layer deeper, it's actually a trauma that mostly probably is triggered. But if I do so, I'm actually restricting my partner. And this is the same in business relationships and in friendship. And I think if we can leave the other person free or ourselves free in a sense, without letting our boundaries be crossed or crossing our own boundaries, I think love can be so freeing and so much more than we maybe even experience now. And I think we're so used to all the labels indeed that we gave like as a society, to love or to self-love or to what is normal even, that we restrict everything. And actually this is not only in love, this is even in like jobs and in life, in your life path, in your food and everything. So it's, can you allow yourself to like let those restrictions like drop away and find your own truth in that, and then find your own freedom, right? And then feel what's right for you, because sometimes it means you need to have your boundaries be crossed and see, oh, actually this was not right for me, I maybe need to try something else. Same right now, and my boundaries are getting crossed and it's triggering a lot of childhood traumas. And maybe it's actually, maybe you have to see them in the eyes, right? And see your traumas, and this is actually what you be about. Can you mirror yourself, and can you feel yourself and be honest towards yourself, and then also towards the other person, and then find what love is, and then find what your freedom is, and then find whatever emotion or whatever you desire is.
Yeah.
That's I have so many thoughts and so many things I want to say while you're talking, Cherise. I'm like, with everything you're saying, like, yes, and I want to add. Oh, well, but there's like one thing that's popping up the most. And I think that eventually what is so important, especially also when it comes to labels, love just is. It doesn't have anything to do with labels or the thoughts we have about love, or the thoughts other people have about love. If you trust like in yourself and in the universe, love comes by itself. You don't have to do anything to feel love or receive love or give love. And I think that is one thing What? Sorry?
For allowing it to be there.
Yeah. And that all has nothing to do with all the labels and all the rules, I would say, humans make up and put in their minds. Because love is not about the mind, it's about a gift. Yeah.
I actually like that a lot. And it's really about when you start to be open and when you start to allow it, right? Then love is about giving and receiving. And I think this is what's happening, or what I see a lot in like friendships, but also clients and people I talk to. We like when we are not in a relationship, we are trying to find and search and hustle, and we need to find and we need to go out, we need to have our parties, and then maybe we find someone. But actually, when you're in that energy, it probably will not find you. And this is maybe hard to swallow. But if you're just open and you're just yourself, people will talk to you. And that doesn't mean that the next person that talks to you is your new partner, right? But it means that you're just open to receive. And when you're open to receive, it also means actually you're open to give. And I think when you start understanding this and actually, well, that's the first step. But when you start living this, you will see that love is indeed everywhere, and that love just is. And you don't have to do anything for it. I mean, of course, relationships and like all relationships, they need work because without work, there's no effort. And I think there should be effort at some point or in some way. But this is all, again, also different for everyone. But yeah, I think the giving and receiving and knowing that it's always there for you. If you allow yourself, then it can be always there, right? And it's not about searching for it. I think when you search for it, you actually have to start searching maybe within and in yourself, and
definitely
find first maybe that self-love.
Yeah, I want to add something to that. Because I think it's more than a year ago now that I also started writing a book about love lessons. And while you're telling this, I'm linking to the story I'm telling in the book, because you have all these different forms of love. And when I say forms and ways, we're labeling it, which is interesting, by the way, but okay. Society sees different forms of love. And let's say you dream of a relationship, long-term relationship with this partner who you will share a part of like the most years of your life with. Other persons you meet in your life than these partners are meant to be there. Everything you see in these connections, everything you see in this person, you have to see this. And if you understand that, I don't know why I understand that for myself, but I just do. And if you're open to receive it and be mirrored what's going on inside you, you can grow as a person. And you can grow towards a person who's able to love him, herself more, and be open for this energy. So I think we're judging ourselves when we want a relationship and we're not in it. Like, oh, I'm doing stupid things, or oh, it's not good what I'm doing now, or oh, I have a connection with someone and it feels a bit dysfunctional. Be happy you have this connection. Be happy you see the dysfunctionality, because the dysfunctionality is teaching you what is inside of you, where you feel pain, what may be healed. It's ready to look at. And this person is helping you with it. It doesn't say that it's okay what the other person is doing. It's not telling you you have to stay in this situation. Definitely not. But live it and then let it go.
I love that, but because it actually, what you're saying is there are no mistakes in life. You can't fail in life, not in love, not in anything, right? And I love that you highlighted that, because in every lesson there's a learning, right? And there is no mistakes in a learning. There's no mistakes in a lesson because you are learning, right? So I think that is something really, really powerful that you're saying there. And I think a lot of people can actually use this in our lives, because we're so tempted to like do it all good and do it perfectly, and like we need to fix the relationships, we need to get married before 30 and have kids, and you know.
You may, but you don't have to. That's the message. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, it's really about it. Everything is a mirror what's happening inside, right? And especially relationships, and I kind of want to say especially romantic relationships, they're really a mirror of what's happening inside and where you can indeed heal more and work on yourself / with yourself. And you can do it together with your partner. And if it's not aligned anymore, you can do it still by yourself. And it doesn't mean that you failed, not at all. It actually means that you received your lesson and received a gift. And also maybe a step closer to really understanding yourself.
Definitely. And what I want to add to that is what I saw, what I experienced, why there's all this, let's say, mystique around relationships and also for yourself. When you connect with a romantic partner, I think we have multiple ways to communicate as humans with each other, like talking, writing, touching. And for example, if you have sex with someone, then that way of communicating is adding on top of writing, talking with each other, dancing, whatever you do, which makes that you connect very deeply. And this deep connection is also a deep connection with yourself, not only with this other person, but also with yourself. And the deeper you go, the more you see. And like human life is dual. We have duality. So you will see the light in yourself, but also the dark that may be healed. And this is why a romantic relationship can feel so deep and can like literally be this storm in your daily life, because it mixes up so much and you feel everything and all these emotions and what you can be overwhelmed by it. When they're in a friendship can be more space because you don't have this intimate physical connection, this body language. And when we see that it is okay that you have this and that it is safe to have this deep connection with someone else, and also the dark parts you see of yourself and the other, yeah, then a new world of freedom opens up. Yeah.
Yeah, I love this. I also very much love actually the topic of sex because there's so much taboo around it, and there's so much actually also restrictions around it. And actually it's the same with love. There can be so much freedom in it, but we restrict ourselves so much. And yeah, even sex is about finding deeper connections, and indeed not only with the other one, but also with yourself. Even though you might have like sexual intercourse with someone else, it's also still about finding this deeper connection, the sexual energy with yourself, right? So it's always this two-way stream. And yeah, it's so beautiful, but it's maybe too big topic to go into now.
Yeah, it was, we were like talking about love and relationships, and I needed to share this from my heart. It just had to get out. So yeah,
that's a beautiful share. Yeah. But yeah, it's kind of the same with love, but then in different, let's say, different lineage. But it can teach us the same actually in a different way, and I think that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Anything to add? No, it's okay. What I am curious about, new topic though, what are your future plans?
So at this moment, I'm at Ibiza, living my best life. Yeah, riding every day. Yeah, and when I come back from Ibiza, I have an appointment at the Chamber of Commerce in Amsterdam to make the Filonien official. I have lots of plans for the future. First of all, I also write poetry, also about love, of course, about life, about connection. So I want to publish the poetry. I'm writing the book about love lessons. Yeah, I recently had some more inspiration. So that's also going well. I don't know like how long it will take before the book is finished. And I also I know it will be ready when it's ready, but I'm working on that. Besides that, I will do consciousness coaching because I found out that the combination of the writing with the philosophical mindset is something that is like one-on-one linked with consciousness coaching. So I want to expand my business with that. And besides that, I will help people write their own story. Because recently I've met some new people who asked me to help them write their own story, which is such an amazing invite of the universe to do that. So I'm also working on that now. And then later there will also be a program on rewriting your own life. Yeah.
That sounds all very, very, very exciting. And I think, well, like, I think there's no going wrong in this because your passion and your heart is inside there, right? Your love for what you do is really inside there, because we're talking on love now.
Love.
If you're doing it from that place, like there's no doing it wrong, right? And there's also not doing it wrong because you can feel alive, but like also for your mind. And I think that's something that's really, really, really beautiful.
So if people wanna find you, read your things, wanna stay in contact with you, wanna know when you publish your books or your poetry, how can they find you?
My website is www.filonien.nl. My mail is withlovefilonien@gmail.com. And of course, you can also find me on Instagram, where I always publish that I have a new blog, which is with love_Filonien. Instagram.
I'll put it in the description and in the video edit. I think our last question would be, what would ultimate tip be for our listeners?
Oh, when in doubt, write it out. Start writing, just start writing and your answers will come.
Yeah.
Yeah, we loved this.
That's such a good.
Well,
it was such a blast to be here. I loved it.
Thank you so much for hopping on with us, sharing your wisdom, your experiences, your stories, what you do, what you love, share about love itself. Yeah, we hope for our listeners that you love this episode. Please like, subscribe, listen to us, share it. We are just starting, but we are very excited, and we have like more amazing people to come, and we'll also share more and deeper about ourselves and what we do and all of that.
Yeah.
So stay tuned.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much, Nina, for joining us, and
Thank you.
see you all soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.